Eamon Khan here for Seconds Out in Poland, no less, with Ziyad Al Mayouf. Zizo,
Yes.
we should call you, the nickname. Globetrotting as well, like I mentioned, Poland, Wroclaw. Great to see you here. A privilege, you were saying,
Yes.
to be here as well. How you feeling?
Of course, I feel amazing. This is the best camp I've had. The world tour continues, from one country to another, from one big show to another. Thanks, to Saudi Arabia, Skill Challenge, and Prince Khalid. This is what I'm here to do. I'm here to be that flag bearer and that trailblazer for my country and my people.
And indeed, you're doing that to full effect. Now, let me talk to you about your progress as a fighter going to the professional ranks. How do you feel you've taken to the professional ranks? It's obviously fraught with danger, but you've faced adversity. You're coming through it and looking to progress in the professional game.
The main goal is to just become better every single fight. Take our time, not rush. And it is no secret. I am matched very in hard fights or in good fights. Like I wouldn't say hard fights. I'd say fights that test me as a boxer and as a person. And we've all seen that. And you know what? There's nothing better the people love and I as a person love than a story of, of like trailblazing, but doing it the hard way. How did you go from being bad to being good, from struggling to not struggling? All this, where's the fun if you're just good the whole time? So it's a privilege, like I said, and with privilege comes a lot of pressure, but it's nothing we're not ready for.
Yeah, talk to me about that pressure, because right now you're one of a kind, obviously looking to blaze that trail so other people, open the door for other people to follow the path that you're on. But with that becomes that pressure to succeed and to at least do your very best in the ring when it comes to your preparation and then fight night too. So do you feel that sense of pressure? How do you deal with that sense of pressure too?
I just welcome pressure. I know that pressure is always going to be there. If I'm doing good, pressure is there to do better. And if I'm doing bad, pressure is there to also do better, So I just welcome pressure because it gives me no choice but to succeed. It gives me no choice but to get up after a knockdown. It gives me no choice but to take a punch and throw two more after. So, I just welcome the pressure and I understand that I am, walking the road that is less walked, that no one has walked before. And when you're the first to do something, you're going to be the first to make a lot of mistakes. And my job, again, is to trailblaze. My job is to make people proud and be that symbol of hope, be a superhero to those who come after me, where I make it easier on them. I show them that it's possible. I show them that it could be done, while also showing them that this job is not for the civilized. You know what I mean? It's truly an ocean of, struggles and emotion and physical pain and mental turbulences, but we keep going anyways.
Your mentality, your attitude, the way you speak about the sport, the way you speak about pressure is very much one to be proud of, and listening to you speak is a very good listen. I wonder where that mentality came from. Where did you, because some people deal with things in different ways. I wonder where that was kind of instilled with you, maybe from your childhood, the way to deal with things.
I mean, it was just, it's a few things, The first one is that no excuse mentality. And again, as we were saying before we really started the interview, no one really knows the difficulties it took to actually come this far and be standing here and sitting here today, even doing these interviews, or standing in the ring fighting on these big cards. No one has seen what happened before all the big Saudi changes, or before the Saudi involvement and really being that flag bearer for the country. So you're talking about someone who had to really teach himself everything the hard way through pain, which is the best way to teach anyone anything. Unfortunately, it's harder, but it's the best way. And no one just saw that you've come from a place where there is absolutely no amateur scene. There is no equipment. The first time I hit a heavy bag that didn't move when I hit it, was when I moved abroad. First time I saw a speed bag, a double end bag. First time I threw a body punch was like someone taught me how to properly throw one was when I moved abroad. You know, the amateur scene we didn't have back home, and I'm talking about more than 5 years ago. We didn't have, we don't, still don't have boxing on TV. You know, there's no way to accidentally fall in love with the sport. So it's just that no excuse mentality. And I don't like to credit anything to myself, because I just credit everything to God. Alhamdulillah, I credit everything to God, and I credit everything to my people, to my country, to the support, because, and my family, because this is what I'm made of. And so this is another part where that mentality came from too. My dad. My dad just really instilled that mentality of there's absolutely no way, if you keep going on the road, if you stick to it, there's no way you won't make it. If you just never quit, what is going to happen if you never quit? You will keep going. And then what happens when you keep going? You will get there eventually, you know? Because the biggest reason we often find ourselves stopping something after we aim to try to do it is because we base it on the expectations and the timings of other people, not our expectation and not our timing. And so I was just taught to be patient, have faith, and to accept that faith comes from the unknown. So accept the unknown, and with that, I will succeed.
Do your parents come to your fights?
Oh, my dad comes, my brothers and my sisters come, but my mom can never.
Why not?
My mom just turns on the fight, puts on the fight, or she can FaceTime one of my brothers just to hear what's happening, but she can't watch it. She can't watch. She just keeps praying over and over and over, you know. But yeah, she can't watch. It's too hard on her, which I understand. You know, my mom is my best friend. And I always say it, I do this for my parents and the pride it gives them and how happy it makes them. So it's just a wonderful journey, man. Sometimes when you pause, you zoom out, and you realize, wait, we're making history, you know, and we're making history for a history-making country. You're a history-making athlete for a history-making country at such a historical time. And this is where, you know, I really want to make that public announcement. You know, I feel like this is a multi-generational story right now. You have a multi-generational figure as well, where you get to really watch history being set and people getting slept. You know what I mean? You get to see that Manny Pacquiao, you get to see that Miguel Cotto, you get to see that Conor McGregor, where it's not just a boxer, he's not just a fighter, but it's a larger than life story. It's that trailblazer, that spokesperson, that representative. And I think for once we have that international boxer who breaks that language barrier. And I understand that when I say all of that, I put more pressure on myself. But again, you know, pressure just makes me perform better. I rise up to it. And I do this for everyone else. You know, the weight that I carry on my shoulders that you see on me right now, the least of them is mine. I do it for everyone else. I do it for not just my country in Saudi Arabia, not just the Arab world, but anyone who has hope in achieving of anything. I want to be that symbol for them.
As you mentioned, you've not got where you've got to without the help, the assistance of your family, your people, and Buddy McGirt, Paul Smith as well too. Let's talk about the guidance, the tutelage of Buddy McGirt, someone who knows no pain, no gain very well. How do you feel you progressed under Buddy's watchful eye?
It's amazing, especially after the Paul Fury fight. We learned a lot from that fight, and I learned a lot personally from that fight. We've just the goal is to improve every fight and get better, and I'm excited for people to see what I've been doing. You know, you don't really see fighters putting in 12 weeks and 14 weeks of camps for 4-round and 6-round fights, but that's what I have to do. That's what I want to do. You know, I've just fallen in love with the craft of boxing so much, where I want to be the best. I want to be good, you know. So when all those hopes are put on me, I'm able to represent them in Saudi Arabia and the Arab world in the best way possible, you know. So having Buddy McGirt there is just unreal. He's changed a lot of me, instilled a new kind of defense, which people haven't seen in decades, I can say, which I'm excited to bring to the table. He's instilled that more, he's like a father figure to me mentally from the side of the sport. He knows the pressures and he feels the pressures that I go through. And so he knows how to guide me. He wants to see me not only become the best fighter I can be, but also the best person I can be. And he's been there, done that at the exact same weight classes that I want to do it at, you know? So he's done it at 140 and 147. He's fought the power punchers, the fast fighters, the southpaws. He's done it all and he's achieved it all. So just to have someone there who I really do trust with my life, and Buddy McGirt is a dream come true. You know, again, sometimes it's just the way that things played out for me. I can't help it but keep saying Alhamdulillah, thank God for everything over and over and over again.
How about Paul? Look, you've obviously looked to make the move to Liverpool, somewhere a place Paul knows very well. But how about Paul and his influence under your career?
I just feel like, you know, Paul, you know, I met him when I was preparing for my debut in Saudi on the Usyk Joshua card. And we spent a whole 8 weeks in Liverpool where it was just, they treated me like family. Not just Paul, but all of the Smith brothers. You know, they treated me like family. They drop into the apartment, check on me, see if I needed anything. And Paul was always guiding me and just, again, you know, what you see on fight night is only what people think is the fight. But the real fight is getting to that night. You know what I mean? The long weeks, the early mornings, and the even later nights in camp of 12 weeks, 8 weeks, all of that. People don't see that. So mentally and emotionally, we go through a lot. Fighters go through a lot. So Paul saw that, and he was just guiding me very well on how to save my energy, how to handle fight week, how to handle training, the tough sparring in Liverpool. I don't think I need to explain to people, especially from the UK, how Liverpool are just a different breed of fighters. You know what I mean? Everyone fights. If it's the oldest in the city or the youngest in the city, they all fight. But yeah, to have Paul Smith there is just more of a manager-fighter relationship. It's more of like even a person-to-person relationship. He's really just family. I look at him as like an older brother who, you know, that feeling when you have someone there, no one will ever mess with you. You know, he's always got your back. So yeah, that's Paul. That's definitely Paul. And again, he's been there, done that. His brothers are history makers. He's a history maker. And they're one of the, you know, trailblazing athletes in the whole country, if not the most trailblazing athletes and brothers in the whole country. So to have them there is just amazing.
Let's look forward to this weekend. You take on Pences, looking to stop your progression. Yeah. But you're going to look to step through the ropes and do what you do best. Have we seen the best of you in the ring yet? You're saying there's a lot more to come. What haven't we seen from you yet?
You haven't seen everything I'm going to show this weekend. You know, everything I'm bringing this weekend is stuff you haven't seen before. And maybe you haven't seen before in the modern era of, again, defense and offense type of fight, you know. So you've definitely haven't seen the best of me, you know. Again, as a fighter who came from a very, you know, faded amateur background and not that much amateur experience, I'm learning on the job. And as I'm learning on the job, the pace is much faster than, you know, normally it would be for a fighter. The cards are much bigger than normally it would be for a fighter, which again is a dream come true. You know, like, again, thank you to Saudi Arabia and Prince Khalid for giving me my dreams. You know, you never get used to being handed your dreams or having your prayers answered. You know, I'm just always so humbled by it. And the way I look at it is that the rent is due every single day, because what is given can be taken away. And that's just how I think about it. And that's what I owe to my people, my country in Saudi Arabia, the Arab world, trailblazing and making that history. So if every fight if when I'm scheduled for a new fight ever, and I'm telling you from now, just always think you haven't seen the best of me yet. No matter when it is at my career, there's always room to get better. There's always room to change, and the fights are getting tougher, and I just have to get tougher with them. And the opponents are getting better, and I have to get better with them. So you've definitely haven't seen the best of me. You're going to see a better version of me this weekend, but the best is far from here yet.
Exciting prospect in offer at the weekend, and as you mentioned, there's huge pressure on your shoulders. There's huge pressure on the shoulders of two heavyweights this weekend too, who'll be main event in the card, that being the unified heavyweight champion Oleksandr Usyk in Poland in front of the Ukrainian fans nonetheless, and also in Daniel Dubois, the Brit, looking to upset the odds and defeat Usyk. What's your thoughts on that fight, Ziyad?
I mean, I'll have to back Usyk, my promotional, stablemate. I just see Usyk taking that fight, and it's Usyk is an idol and should be an idol to any fighter, not for the battles he's faced inside the ring, but also for the battles he's faced outside of the ring. What he does for his people, for his country, these are the characteristics that you really should look up to. I feel like we struggle to find and look up to idols and stick with it so much because we try to look too far away when sometimes they're just over our shoulders. And so to just have Usyk there, in the same promotion, signed to Skill Challenge Promotions, or to have fought on the same card now for 2 times, it's a person who I really look up to, and what he's done in boxing and the undisputed, and now trying to do it again in heavyweight is crazy. But again, just Daniel Dubois and how he did against the last southpaw he fought when he was dropped, I think it was 3 times, right? I don't know. I just feel like Usyk is not that southpaw that Daniel Dubois faced. Usyk takes you to deep waters. But again, with such a big puncher in Daniel Dubois, you never know. Especially in heavyweight boxing, you have to give that chance. If it goes 12 rounds, you can't not say Daniel Dubois is going to land one big one. So it's such a good fight. That's the thing. It's a nice fight. And we'll see. Will Daniel Dubois ruin the plans that are being set with Usyk and Undisputed, or will Usyk just keep breaking those walls down to make it happen?
A couple of fun things for myself. A lot of talk about the Saudi region, a lot of generation looking to invest. One of the big things that the UK people talk about is the football and the money they've been putting to bring the transfers over, to bring the bigger stars to the Saudis. Competition is competition. But I wonder what you see for the Saudi football and where that maybe grows if you're keeping an eye on that. And potentially the thought of a Saudi team being in the Champions League, if you think that might happen in the future.
Yeah, I saw that news. I'm just like you. I'm surprised by it all, shocked by it all, but again, I'm very interested in it all. But I feel like we really have to look at the bigger picture here. There's Vision 2030 in Saudi Arabia. I believe Saudi Arabia is the fastest growing economy in the world right now, and one of the biggest pillars for Vision 2030 is sports and athletes. And, I take a lot of pride and honor in being one of those individual athletes that get to represent and be a pillar for Vision 2030 abroad and internationally. But also the bigger picture is to bring unity, peace, and love between us all. You get to really mix cultures together. You get to mix races together. People get to interact from different sides of the world, the Arab world, Saudi Arabia, and the West. And you just get to not only learn more about football in Saudi Arabia, we get to learn more about life in Saudi Arabia. We get to learn more about the people in Saudi Arabia, the hospitality in Saudi Arabia, all of that stuff. Because here's the thing, when you go to a country for the first time, or when you go meet a group of people who you haven't really interacted with before, or you're not that comfortable, there will be some fear there. People fear what they don't understand. You might feel uncomfortable as well. So when you go to Saudi Arabia for an event that you've seen before, at least whatever happens, however I feel uncomfortable in Saudi Arabia, I've been to a Formula One before. I've been to a football game before. I've been to a big boxing event before. So you feel like okay, at least I do have that safe haven in the country. And then you go, and what happens is when you put in that setting around so many different cultures, races, and people, but you all share the same interest and love for a specific thing, you get to interact better, learn more about each other in peace and in love, and you see that unity happening. So what Saudi Arabia right now is doing is amazing. It's crazy. And I feel like Saudi Arabia will not only become the capital of the Arab world, but it could be the capital of the world, you know? So that's how I see things playing up. You know, I don't know if you've seen the news, but the basketball right now is kind of kicking up too. They've offered huge money for James Harden. So they're just taking over that sports aspect of it. But like I just explained, there's a bigger picture to it to bring us all together, and I wish to do that too.
Not a huge basketball fan, but I'm a huge boxing fan. Do you feel, might not be asking the right person, but I want to get your thoughts on this. Do you feel that the vision will include, because the boxing fans want to know, a fight between Fury versus Usyk, if Usyk, of course, comes through his fight this weekend in Saudi Arabia, or potentially the fight between Deontay Wilder and Anthony Joshua in Saudi Arabia? Do you think those two fights do happen?
If these fights end up crossing the line, I'm sure with the way Saudi Arabia is moving now, it would land in Saudi Arabia. You know, I'm just like everyone else. And before I go to these fights as a fighter on an undercard, I go there as a fan. You know, I grew up watching these fighters on TV, looking up to them, and there is never getting used to just seeing them or fighting on the undercard. When I'm in a fight week like this, when I go to the press conferences, so many fighters leave and rest after they're done because they need to be well rested. So I can't help but stay and watch the other fighters talk and watch the main event and Usyk, Wilder, Joshua, Fury, all of those. But Fury, Usyk, AJ Wilder, from a fan perspective, I really hope it happens. And if there is someone who can make it happen, it's Saudi Arabia and Skill Challenge Promotions.
I'd love to see it happen, and I'm looking forward to seeing you do your thing in the ring this weekend. I'll leave the final word with you. What can fans expect to see from you this weekend?
They can expect to see just a new and improved Zizo, and they can expect to see that, you know, electrifying performances as always. You know, that's again, like I said, people love a story where you make it from the bottom to the top, or you've had it the harder way, or you weren't as good at something, you're getting better at it. That's what people can expect. Improvement and me giving it my all. Never know what's going to happen when I fight, but you know it's going to be good, and inshallah, God willing, you know I'm going to get that win.
These are a real pleasure. Thanks for speaking to Seconds Out. Looking forward to your fight.